भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्ण भगवान की जय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्ण भगवान की जय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्ण भगवान की जय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्ण भगवान की जय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्रीकृष्ण भगवान की जय।
गंगे मां पाहि 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 गिरीश शिरस्थिते गंगे मां पाहि गिरीश शिरस्थिते गंगे मां पाहि गिरीश शिरस्थिते गंभीरकाये संगीतवाद्य प्रिये गंगे मां पाहि गिरीश शिरस्थिते गंभीरकाये संगीतवाद्य प्रिये गंगे मां पाहि गिरीश शिरस्थिते गंभीरकाये संगीतवाद्य प्रिये गंगे मां पाहि गिरीश शिरस्थिते अंगजतात मुदे असि वरुणा मध्ये 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 अक्रूर पूजिते 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 अखिल जनानंदे अक्रूर पूजिते अखिल जनानंदे सकल तीर्थमूले सद्गुरु गुहलीले सकल तीर्थमूले सद्गुरु गुहलीले सकल तीर्थमूले सद्गुरु गुहलीले परजन्मु बाले व्यासादि कृपाले सकल तीर्थमूले सद्गुरु गुहलीले परजन्मु बाले व्यासादि कृपाले गंगे मां पाहि गिरीश शिरस्थिते गंभीरकाये संगीतवाद्य प्रिये गंगे मां पाहि गिरीश शिरस्थिते
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Om Gum Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Aim Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Gananam Tva Ganapati Gum Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravattamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrinvannodibisi Dasadanam Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchidanandamurtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Nidalambaya Tejase. Om. Last April, that is April 2021, we wanted to have a year-long celebration, centenary celebration of Swami Krishnanji Maharaj. But because of COVID, nothing could be done. Then by November, the situation improved and the COVID was under control. Then we thought we will have 101 days program. So starting from the 13th of January, that is Makara Sankranti, to 25th April. So by that time again, when we are planning, the new variant, Micron, came, and that also we had to cancel. Somehow with the blessings of God and blessings of Gurudev, the ashram, we opened the ashram on 22nd of March, and from that day we are having this centenary celebration program. So while we were planning this last year, some of the ashramates and some devotees requested me, Swamiji, during the centenary program, we should have one discourse by Brahmashri Nochur Venkataraman ji. Then I said, don't worry, I will talk to him. And if he has no other commitment, definitely he will agree, because he has such a love for this ashram. Then, but because nothing could happen, and then finally when we have decided this program, then I talked to him, and he was so kind and readily agreed, actually. It is a blessing of Ramana Bhagavan, it's a blessing of Swami Shivanji Maharaj, and it's a blessing of our Lord Vishwanatha that we have him here today. And also, along with him, it's our great fortune to have that our Rangaswami Dikshitar, and also the students of Ramana Maharshi Brahma Vidyashrama Pathashala students, and their teacher also. So we have these 7 days from today on, from 12th to 18th. We have early morning we will have Veda Parayana, Yajurveda Parayana. We have announced that time, and we have little change. We are making little change because people are following the textbooks. So the Veda Parayana will be from 8 to 9:30, followed by the Bhagavat Parayana 10th Skanda by Sridharji, 9:30 to 11. And afterwards in the forenoon, we will have 4 to 5:30 Nochurji's, and again 8 to 9 Nochurji's blessings will be there. So the entire day will be filled with spiritual vibration. Gurudev Swami Shivanji Maharaj says, start the day with God, end the day with God, and fill the day with God. So really, the whole day will be filled with Veda Gosha and Pravachana. So it's a great fortune, and it is our great blessing. And I wish that all of you receive that blessing. With these few words, I request Advaitansi Maharaj to kindly garland our Nochurji, and Nochurji to bless us all.
नमः परमऋषिभ्यो नमः परमऋषिभ्यः हरि ओम अन्तरायतिमिरूपशान्तये शान्तपावनमचिन्त्य वैभवम् तन्नरं वपुषि कुञ्जरं मुखे मन्महे किमपि तुन्दिलं महः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। यस्यान्तन्नादिमध्यं न हि करचरणं नामगोत्रं न सूत्रं नो जातिर्नैव वर्णा न भवति पुरुषो नानपुंसं न च स्त्रीं नाकारं नो विकारं न हि जनिमरणं नास्ति पुण्यं न पापं तत्त्वं नो तत्त्वमेकं सहजसमरसं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। मौनव्याख्या प्रकटितपरब्रह्मतत्त्वं युवानं वर्षिष्ठान्तेव सदर्शिगणैरावृतं ब्रह्मनिष्ठैः आचार्येन्द्रं करकलितचिन्मुद्रमानन्दरूपं स्वात्मा रामं मुदितवदनं दक्षिणामूर्तिमीडे वेदान्तार्थविभासकाय यतये शान्ताय सन्न्यासिने नानावादिनगेन्द्रसङ्घपवये योगीन्द्रवन्द्याय च मोहध्वान्तदिवाकराय भगवत्पादाभिधां बिभ्रते तस्मै भाष्यकृते नमोस्तु सततं पूर्णाय बोधात्मने अपारसच्चित्सुखवारिराशेः यस्योर्मिमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि। देहं मृण्मयवज्जडात्मकमहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तदभावसुप्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः कोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो वरधिया दृष्ट्वात्मनिष्ठात्मनां सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं। हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रं ह्यहमहमिति साक्षादात्मरूपेण भाति। हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वता मज्जता वा पवनचलनरोधादात्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्च अर्थेष्वभिज्ञस्वराड् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषां धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। कस्मै येन विभासितो यमतुलो ज्ञानप्रदीपः पुरां तद्रूपेण च नारदाय मुनये कृष्णाय तद्रूपिणां योगीन्द्राय तदात्मनाथ भगवद्राताय कारुण्यतः तच्छुद्धं विमलं विशोकम् अमृतं सत्यं परं धीमहि। धर्मः प्रोज्झितगैतवोऽत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनम्। श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैः ईश्वरः सद्यो हृद्यवरुध्यतेऽत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषिभिस्तक्षणात् निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखात् अमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबद भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिकाः भुवि भावुकाः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुः तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिम् आनतोऽस्मि। यस्वानुभावमखिलश्रुतिसारमेकम् अध्यात्मदीपम् अतितितीर्षदां तमोन्धं संसारिणां करुणयाः पुराणगुह्यं तं व्याससूनुमुपयामि गुरुं मुनीनां। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरये परमात्मने प्रणतक्लेशनाशाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्घ्रये। योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्नाम् अन्यांश हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं। ध्येयं सदा परिभवग्नमभीष्टदोहं तीर्थास्पदं शिवविरिञ्जिनुतं शरण्यं भृत्यार्तिहं प्रणतपालभवाब्धिपोतं वन्दे महापुरुषते चरणारविन्दम्। आवेदकालाद्धरणीं पुनन्तीं आसिन्धुदेशं परिपावयन्ती आम्नायमर्थं हृदि बोधयन्ती आजन्मपूता चरतीह गङ्गां निरन्तरानन्दरसार्द्रनीरां निस्सङ्गयोगीश निवासतीरां सत्सङ्गसौरभ्यगिराभिपूतां विज्ञानधारा हृदि भाति गङ्गां भागीरथित्वं नयनाभिरामां महर्षिलोकस्य तपोपलब्धां मदीयमोहं कृपया निवार्य त्वदीयरूपे रतिम् आतनुष्व। सर्वत्र गोविन्दनामसङ्कीर्तनं गोविन्द गोविन्द। जानकीकान्तस्मरणं जय जय राम राम। हर नमः पार्वतीपतये हर हर महादेव। First prostrating with heart to Mother Ganga, and offering our pranamas to Gurudev Shivanandaji Maharaj. Before beginning this satsanga on Bhagavata, we have to do our namaskar to Swami Chidanandaji Maharaj, Krishnanandaji Maharaj, and all the Swamijis who have assembled here, and all the devotees, for all of them, offering these pranams, and we are starting our Bhagavat. Before starting the satsanga, the occasion here is the Smriti of Swami Krishnanandaji Maharaj. I very much remember it is somewhere around 1997 or 98. Swamiji took me to Krishnanandaji Maharaj's room, and the first thing that I heard is he was firing somebody. He has studied all philosophy, everything, but he doesn't know that the purpose of life is God realization. What is the purpose of all this study? So that was how first I saw Swamiji there. Some person was standing before him. And to him, Krishnanandaji Maharaj was saying, he has studied, but he doesn't know that the purpose of life, all this study is only to realize God. So that is where Bhagavatam begins. So the very purpose of life is to realize God. You can say realize God when you go through the path of bhakti. It is Ishvara Sakshatkara. And when you have the samskara of jnanam, it is Brahma Jnana or Atma Jnana. And if it is Yoga Marga, it is Yoga Sthiti, Chittavritti Nirodha. So Bhagavata begins that Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. These four are called Chaturvidha Purushartha. Purushartha means for which every human being strives to achieve, to attain. So people generally think, I am not talking about Westerners, but in India we know we should hold on to Dharma so that you can have Artha and Kama. That is the common thought everywhere. Even Vyasa first tried to entice people to do Dharma by proclaiming that. In Mahabharata, Vyasa Bhagavan says, why people are not listening to me? Urdhvabahur viraumyesha najakashit shrunoti me dharmad arthasya kamasya sa dharmaha kim na sevyate. I am just holding my two hands above and just screaming that you can have wealth, you can have happiness if you hold on to Dharma. This is how Vyasa says, and nobody is listening to me. Dharma is so simple. Bhagavata Dharma is very simple. You have to chant the name of the Lord. Even for that they are not ready. But to do adharma, to steal, to do violence, to murder somebody is very difficult, but they do it. Dharmam prasangat apina charanti, papam prayatnena samacharanti. Dharma is so easily available, but he is not doing it. And papa is not available. You have to put effort, but they do it. Papam prasangat, papam prayatnena samacharanti. It's a wonder. Asharyame dadhi manushya loke amritam parityajya visham pibanti. This is a great wonder in the world that they give up nectar and with great effort procure poison and drink it. So, but Bhagavata says the purpose of dharma or artha or kama is to have that longing to attain God. The longing to attain realization. Dharmasya hyapavargyasya nartho arthayopakalpate narthasya dharmaikantasya kamo labhayaihi smrtah kamasya nendriya pritir labho jiveta yavata Jivasya tattva jijnasa na artho yasyeha karmabhihi. Tattva jijnasa. The purpose of doing dharma is only tattva jijnasa. The real inquisitiveness, spiritual inquisitiveness, the longing which arises in your heart to be free of this shoka, to attain the highest realization. And what is tattvam? Just Bhagavata puts a word in front of us, tattvam. And we know tattvam means philosophy. And we also know tattvam. Generally people say, don't speak tattvam. Something boring, they say tattvam. So Bhagavatam says, Vadanti tat tattva vidaha tattvam yat jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. That is tattvam. Yad jnanam advayam, the non-dual pure consciousness, advayam jnanam. See, Bhagavatam begins with that. The second chapter, I am quoting this verse from the second chapter of the Prathama Skandha. We will go to the first shloka after this. So there, Sutta says, what is the essence of tattvam? It is that pure nirvikalpa anubhuti. Advayam jnanam. Dvayam means the other. The moment the other comes, we get polluted. Where the moment you, he, I happens, pollution comes. That pure advayam jnanam means that pure consciousness devoid of any upadhi. As we experience it, generally everyone has the experience in the deep sleep. In the deep sleep, there is neither body, nor the mind, nor the intellect, nor the world. And we wake up and say it was sukham, happiness. Sukham aham aswapsam, nakinchida vedisham. I had happiness and I was not aware of anything. So the duality was not there, the sukham was there, and pure atmanubhava is there. But you didn't become aware of it when you wake up. So that advayam jnanam happens in that samadhi, in the nirvikalpa samadhi. The vikalpa is removed by pure jnanam. So that advayam jnanam is called by devotees as Bhagavan, by yogis as Paramatma, and by the jnanis as Brahma. Brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. Shabda. Shabda means Veda. The Shruti says, Shruti is called Shabda. So the Shruti says Brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. But the thing is same. Whether you go through the yoga path or jnana path or devotion. Shivanji Maharaj used to recommend everything. You take, if you want to do bhakti, you do bhakti. Karma, jnana, yoga, everything he accepted. Through all the path, the purpose is the mind becomes quiet. Hrit mana swasthata kriya bhakti yoga bodhasya nishitam. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says, when the mind becomes swastha, when the mind settles down in the heart, whatever path you may employ, that is bhakti yoga, that is jnana yoga, that is karma yoga, that is raja yoga, all the yogas attain fulfillment in you when you attain that samadhi anubhava. So Bhagavata begins with samadhi anubhava. We usually say prasthanatrayam. But I have heard that Sri Vallabhacharya Sampradaya, they have Prasthana Chatushtaya, 4 Prasthanas. And what they say is Krishna Veda Vakyani, Krishnasya Vakyani, Vyasasya Sutrani, Samadhi Bhasha cha. These are the Prasthana Chatushtaya. Veda Vakya is Upanishad. Krishnasya Vakyani Bhagavad Gita. And Vyasa Sutras, Vyasasya Sutrani. And the last, they didn't say Bhagavatam, they said Samadhi Bhasha cha. It is Samadhi Bhasha. And generally Samadhi Bhasha means when a realized person writes, it is also Samadhi Bhasha. Apta Vachana. That is why, Shivanji Maharaj, when he wrote so many books, people used to wonder, when did he write? Sometimes he will be in the Ganga banks, he will write in a small diary and put it there, and all collected. Because something comes from the heart, it is Samadhi Bhasha. Generally, sages don't prefer writing, but the words will, it's like compulsion from within. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, very few verses he wrote. But once he was going around Arunachala, tears were flowing. And devotees requested him, write something, write something. And Maharshi said, what is there to write? Many saints have written. All the Alvars have written on Krishna, Vishnu. And the Nayanmars have written about Shiva. What should I newly add? Nothing to write. But the devotee continued to go with him with a paper and pencil. And one day tears were flowing from his eyes. And he took the paper, and the paper became wet. And then he wrote Arunachalam. And that is his nama, no? Every saint has, the jnanam is same, but they have their own pantha, their own upasana devata, their own nama, their own way to enter the Shastra. So Maharshi's namam is Arunachalam. And he wrote Arunachalam. And next completed the verse, if you contemplate on this nama, what will happen? Your ego will be rooted out. The I will be rooted out. And only Arunachala will remain in your heart. The moment you contemplate on his nama, and the power of the nama, what does it do? It just erases you. It just removes your ego from in your heart. And when the ego is gone, only Atma exists. Only pure consciousness remains. So this is the first Aksharamana Malai verse, the song. With that he began. So when that from heart some song comes, something comes, it is Samadhi Bhasha. Vyasa has written Bhagavatam. We will see when Narada comes and initiates Vyasa Bhagavan, compels Vyasa Bhagavan to write Bhagavatam. And Narada says, you need not write, you just sit in Samadhi. Bhagavatam will come through you. It will happen through you. So here, we begin this Samadhi Bhasha. And the very first verse in Bhagavatam itself is a Samadhi Bhasha. You cannot that easily uncover the verse. The verse is so profound. Generally they say, Bhagavate Vidyavatam Pariksha. If a person is thoroughly learned, has come in good parampara, the test is, give him Bhagavata book. And if he is able to give you the meaning of the first verse, then it is okay. That is usually the saying. So the very first verse is so profound, and you need not even read the entire verse, the last line. The moment you hear it, the mind enters Samadhi. Satyam Param Dhimahi. You need not even know much Sanskritam. Not much learning is necessary, because generally those who come to spiritual life, they must have heard the name Dhimahi, because it comes in Gayatri Mantram. So everybody knows that word. Dhimahi means we meditate. It's plural, Bahuvachanam. Dhimahi. And the other word is Satyam. That also we know. Param, supreme. Satyam, Param, Dhimahi. That supreme truth we meditate upon. Very profound statement. Because easily Vyasa could have written Krishnam Param Dhimahi or Vishnum Param Dhimahi. But instead of writing that, the moment Bhagavata opens, the first verse is, I meditate on truth. No one can now deny. No one can say, if you say Krishna, I'll say we are not Krishna devotees. If someone says Vishnu, you can say, I will not worship Vishnu. I am a Shiva devotee. And if you say Shiva, you say, I am a Vaishnava. Or some other religion, we don't agree with that. But if you say Satyam, nobody can deny. Whether he is a Hindu or Christian or is Muslim or even Buddhist or even an atheist. Because even an atheist, he worships Satyam. He says, your God is untruth. So he worships truth. For him, so I remember a very remarkable anecdote in Anandamayima's life. Somewhere I read, one devotee goes to Anandamayima, somewhere in Haridwar, and she says, Ma, my husband is a very fanatical atheist. He will not accept anything religious. He is always against everything that is religious and spiritual. For that, Anandamayima said, that is a very great high state. She said, it is a very high state. He is in the process of neti. He is negating, burning everything. He is now incarnation of Rudra. Because he is burning everything and at last he will find the truth. If he is a genuine atheist, genuine Nastika, he has to find the Astitva. Because when you negate everything, what remains, it shines forth. Nishedha Shesho Jayatad Ashesha. Bhagavata says, you do Nishedha of everything, and what Shishyate, what remains, is Ashesha. It is everything. It is the whole, it is the Bhuma, the Akhanda Vastu. So you negate everything and what remains is the infinite, it is the Purna. So if you are a genuine negator, then at last you will come and touch the sacred Tirtha there. You will come and touch that Shitala Tirtha. Till that you can go on negating. So what remains is Satyam. Satyam Param Dhimahi. Very beautiful. The whole Shishya Abhiprayam. Sridharacharya says, why Bhagavatam begins with Satyam Param Dhimahi? Sridharacharya says, because Vyasa has taken to account all the devotees who are reading Bhagavata collectively, so that we all are meditating, not a single person. Everyone is meditating on Bhagavan, everyone is meditating on the heart, on the Atma. And Satyam is the changeless thing, the changeless principle. Yat trishubhihi avastabhihi na vyabhicharati tat satyam. That which not change. There is no vyabhichara for it. No changing. The body undergoes constant change. Body is constantly changing. The body which was there yesterday is not today. Every 7 years, they say, every cell of the body undergoes almost death. That is why in Gita, Bhagavan said, like Kaumara, Yavana, Jara, like that death also. Everything remove, everything ends there. So the body is constantly changing, but we have the feel of I, the consciousness, which remains changeless. So we say, I am the same person. The same person who was when he was 4 years old, the same person is now when I am 40. The same person will be there when I am 80. The I, the consciousness, the chit is same. The body changes, but the consciousness remains changeless. And that changeless principle illumines everything. And that illumining principle is Satyam. So too in the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, Trisarga. The three projections happening constantly in the substratum, in the Adhisthana. It comes and goes. In the waking state, the body is there, the mind is there, I am there. But in the dream, the body drops off and only the mind operates, but I am there. In deep sleep, neither the body exists nor the mind operates. The I thought is not there, but existence is there. That astitvam is there. It remains constant. So the changeless principle is called Satyam. So Satyam Param Dhimahi. In that Satyam, everything arises. In that Satyam, everything remains. And unto that Satyam, everything returns back. This is Vyasa Sutra. Janmadyasya yataha. Bhagavata begins with this Vyasa Sutra. There is a message behind it. The first Vyasa Sutra is Athato Brahma Jijnasa. Vyasa in his Brahma Sutra, in the beginning has written a sutra where he says, only if you are an adhikari, a ripe person, a mature person, only if you have discrimination, dispassion, then what? Vairagya, Viveka, Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampati, Shama, Dama, Uparati, Shraddha, Samadhana, Mumukshutva, all these things are there. You are qualified to enter the Vedanta Vichara. Otherwise, you are not qualified. See, when compassion comes, you cannot measure an aspirant. When the first disciples came to Swami Shivanandaji Maharaj to take sannyas, he kept them closed inside bathroom. They wanted sannyas. So he himself went to bring the barber to do the ksauram. And they asked, why are you keeping us closed? Because by the time I bring barber, who knows, your mind might change. It looks very humorous, but it is pure compassion. Many devotees have said they would have come down from the south to have a darshan of Swamiji. And they would have done a namaskar and went back. He would have taken their address, sent them Japamala, his books. He would have written a letter. Many have told me, by the time my grandfather came back, they have received a letter from Swamiji. Are you doing japa? Are you waking in the Brahma Muhurta? Are you taking sattvic food? All this motherly compassion pouring out. So, Yadevi Sarvabhuteshu Matru Rupena Samsthita, that divine mother, it is not that she is only in women. She is there in everyone's heart. Only when a person realizes that Shakti inside him, in a saint, she wakes up. In a Jivan Mukta, that motherhood wakes up. Somewhere in Shankara Bhashya, I think it is in Chandogya Upanishad, where Shankaracharya says, for a jnani, the mind comes in contact with Ishvara Deha. Ishvara Deha Sambandha, Samparkaha or something like that. It comes in contact with Ishvara Sharira. That Ishvara Sharira, what is Ishvara Sharira made of? Ishvara Sharira is Karuna. It is compassion. So that Karuna is Ishvara Sharira. The mind comes in contact with that Karuna in Samadhi, and his whole body is nothing but Karuna. So the compassion. That is why even Ramana Maharshi calls Arunachala as condensed form of Karuna. Solid form of Karuna Purna Sudhabdehi. So here, everything arises, remains and is absorbed in that consciousness. This is the Vyasa Sutra, second sutra. So the first sutra Vyasa wrote, only those who are qualified to enter this satsanga, Viveka, Vairagya, you should all have these qualifications. And the story goes that Shukacharya was about to learn Bhagavata, and Shukacharya said, Father, please remove that first sutra. You can have that sutra in Vedanta, but in Bhagavatam, we will have only the second sutra. We will not have this qualification, because nobody will come. If you say all these qualifications, nobody will be qualified to listen to Bhagavatam. So just give to everyone. Shrinvantu vishve amritasya putraha aye dhamani divyani tastuhu. The Shvetashvatara Upanishad, the Rishi says, let everyone here, let down from the earth up to the celestials, the Devas, all of them here. Vedaham etam purusham mahantam adityavarnam tamasaf parastad. I have realized God, and all darkness is gone. Let whoever want this come here. That is how, Sri Ramakrishna used to call. In Dakshineshwar, after his realization, after the completion of his sadhana, he used to stand in the terrace of Dakshineshwar temple, and he had vision of many who were destined to come to him. But they were not coming. It is just like prasava vedana. The delivery pain. Like that he was suffering. He used to stand and used to cry like a child, Divine Mother, why they are not coming? Why they are not coming? Every saint is like that. Somewhere, Swamiji's life I have read, Gurudev's life, that somewhere when some drought or something like our corona was there at that time, some epidemic. So Swamiji opened the bookstall and kept everything open. Let anyone come and take any books. Somehow let this message go everywhere. Kartavo yantu vishvataha. Let all messages, good knowledge come to us from everywhere. So, the second sutra, which says that everything is happening in God. Everything arises in God. Everything remains in God. Everything merges in God. That sutra is taken in Bhagavatam. And we have to define God also. This sutra comes in Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad. Upanishad says, Yato va imani bhutani jayante, ena jatani jivanti, yat prayanti abhisamvishanti. This is the mantra for which Vyasa has written the sutra. From where all these beings, all these creatures, things, events, individuals, mind, I, everything arises, and where everything stays, and unto which everything returns, Tad Brahma. That is Brahman. And this is only a definition, a clue. And ultimately the Upanishad decides what is it. Anando brahmeti vyajanat anandadhyeva khalvimani bhutani jayante anandena jatani jivanti anandam prayanti abhisamvishanti. From ananda, from bliss everything arises, in bliss everything remains, and to bliss everything returns back. See, this conclusion, the sage reaches through various stages. First he had the conclusion that everything arises from matter, remains in matter, and goes back to matter. Very ordinary level of understanding, where the science remains, where ordinary people remain. We need food, we live for food, and we will die without food. And the only purpose of life is eat, eat, eat. And if you don't get food, die. The next stage is prana, energy. Some people come to that level, that vital energy. And there also, there is no stability, there is no fulfillment. Then to the next stage, mind, thinking, thoughts, emotions. There also the mind did not attain that stability. Then it went deep within. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, listening, contemplation, and meditation, and some conviction, clarity arose. The mind, intellect became brilliant. It got washed clean of all the gunas. And Vijnana Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, there also complete Ananda did not arise. And then went deeper. It just kissed the self and came back. The sadhaka, when he does Adhyatma Vichara, sadhana, one day, sometimes sitting, meditating, the mind enters into a state where you feel the bliss. It happens in every sadhaka's life. You experience bliss, Ananda Spurti. Shankaracharya in Vivekachudamani gives the same example. Ananda Pradibimba Chumbita Tanuhu. It just makes a chumbanam there. Chumbanam means kissing. The mind just goes and touches the self and it feels thrilled, ecstatic. A bliss comes. But that is not enough. Again you are thrown back. Again that pain, that longing comes. Till you are stabilized, then still you know that Ananda is you. That bliss is your very nature. From bliss everything arises. In bliss everything stays. And unto bliss everything returns. Till that conviction comes to you that God realization, Ishvara Sakshatkara has not become Purna. In that Purna Sthiti, there is no more compulsion to be always in Samadhi. Even while working, you are in Ananda. Even service becomes Ananda. Everything becomes Ananda. So Ananda alone is there. And everyone is God. Whomsoever you meet, you are meeting Him. Sarvatah panipadam tat sarvatokshishiromukam sarvatah shrutimaloke sarvamavritya tishtati sarvendriya gunabhasam sarvendriya vivarjitam. So that Purna Sakshatkara has happened. Then you know that Janmadhyasya yatah. The very first verse, the very first sutra, the second sutra in Brahma Sutra, of course. Meditating on that, Bhagavatam becomes fulfilled. One who has the realization of that state, constantly he remains in the awareness of God. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Generally we say, all other Upanishads, you have to study the Upanishad. But Ishavasya Upanishad, you need not study the book. You need not even open the book. Just the name is enough. Ishavasya. The moment you hear that name, fill everything with God. Ishwarena achadaniyam. Cover everything with Ishvara. Don't be deluded, hypnotized by names and forms. Somewhere women are sitting, this side men are sitting. If you see this difference, you get bound. Tvam stri, tvam pumanasi, tvam kumara udava kumari. The Shruti says, oh Ishvara, you are stri, you are purusha, you are kumara, you are kumari, everything. I remember a small anecdote, beautiful Katha. Ramakrishna's disciple, Swami Adbhutananda. He was called Adbhutananda because his very life was an Adbhuta, a wonder. He was most unlearned, illiterate. He could not even write his own name. He came as a worker, a servant in one of Ramakrishna's devotees' home, Ramachandra Datta's home. But the moment Ramakrishna saw this boy, he felt he is a potential yogi. And Ramakrishna told him, I will give you a mantra. Hold on to that mantra. Remember, do not go to a street where there is a toddy shop. That was the Upadesha for him. Everyone had some Upadesha according to their samskara perhaps. So he told him, do not walk in a road where there is a toddy shop. And you know this boy, his name was Latu. He had to come to Dakshineshwar and in the road there is a toddy shop. So he will go round 10 kilometers to avoid that shop to come to Ramakrishna. If today some master gives like that, it is very difficult. So that much effort he had to take. So later days, and another Upadesha was also given, keep away from women. So he held on to it very strongly. And as a sannyasi also, other sannyasis, they could read books, they could chant mantras, but he had only one hold, that is the mantra given by his guru. Ramakrishna tried to teach him alphabets. That is a very interesting story because Ramakrishna is a Bengali and Latu is a Bihari. So Bihar they say A and Bengalis they say O, and Ramakrishna will say O and he will say A. He will say Ko and Adbhutananda will say Ka. You say, you are pronouncing wrong. We don't know who is pronouncing wrong. So that Jagada, that class ended there. So he didn't learn anything. The only learning was the Guru Mantra given to him, and he was chanting it, day and night holding on to it and meditating on the form of the Lord given to him. And he reached such a state that he used to walk in Kashi like an avadhuta. Sometimes he will sit once he sat in a train and the train was just stationed there. Nobody was there. He sat inside the compartment and meditated and entered Samadhi. When he opened his eyes, he was some 300 kilometers away, somewhere. Because the train has moved. So in that state he was. So when Swami Vivekananda came back from West, some Western women devotees were also there with him. So Adbhutananda Swami avoided that company. He never went near there. But he had all respect for Swami Vivekananda. So when they were in Kashmir, Vivekananda compelled Adbhutananda. He said, Lotu, you come with me. He used to call him as Leto, come with me. And they went in a houseboat, and for teaching, see, there is a time when you had to hold on to all the rules. And there is a time when you have to give up everything also. So, Swami Vivekananda, for teasing Adbhutananda Swami, asked the girl who was rowing the boat, asked that girl, he gave some betel leaf and said, give to that Swami. And she took that betel leaf and said, Maharaj, like this. And you know what this Swamiji did? He jumped into the river. It's all ice cold water. He just jumped into the river. And they somehow rescued him. And he said, Swamiji Vivekananda, he told, Naren, what are you doing? You know, Guru Maharaj has told me to keep away from women. And Swami Vivekananda said, you know, Latu, he told you to keep away from women. But you know what he has done me? He has made me free of all the differences of man and woman. I feel no difference. I see only the Atma there, the self. That differences he removed from me. So that Linga Bheda is gone. That all differences are removed because you see only the Atma, only the consciousness. And that is pure Samadhi state where the Jnani can do Vyavahara but nothing corrupts him. Even while you work, nothing can bind you. Even in the world, you are not in the world. So that to attain that height of realization, Vyasa has put this tablet in the very beginning, Janmadhyasya. If we can remember only this sutra, Bhagavatam is complete. Krishna means Ananda. Narayana Bhattadri in Narayaniyam, when Krishna's birth happened, he said, Ananda Rupa Bhagavan. Ayite Avatare. Your avatara is Ananda Avatara. It's the avatar of bliss. You can never see Krishna weeping anywhere. Only out of compassion and bliss, 2 or 3 places tears came to him. When he hugged Kuchela, Sudama, tears came in his eyes. But that is out of compassion, bliss. But all the shokas, no shokas could disturb him because he was Ananda Swarupa. Ananda is not just dancing, it is that samasthiti. Ihaivata irjita sargaha, esham samye sthitam manaha, nirdosham hi samam brahma, tasmad brahmanite sthitaha. They are established in Brahman. They are centered in Brahman. And nirdosham, dosha is ignorance. Dosha is ignorance. Dosha is darkness also. That is why in the evening time we say pradosha. The period, time before dosha. Dosha is darkness, ignorance. When dosha is removed, samam. You are always established in that samasthiti. Sama is one name of Bhagavan. We had Vishnu Sahasranama Laksharchana here. One name of Vishnu is Sama. That is one name. He is Sama. No disturbance, no vikalpa there. Nothing can disturb. And that happens in the real nature, in the real self. Because the mind is always connected to the senses and the world. It will get disturbed. It will have sattva guna, rajo guna, tamo guna. But the moment your attention is on the sama, in the changeless principle, you are established there, nothing can disturb you. Samasarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram. So that, in that sama, all this vishama happens. See, Gita begins with Vishama. Arjuna's Vishada. Vishama means Vigata Sama. In Sanskritam, for poison, the word is Visham. Because it creates Vishama. It disturbs the equilibrium of the body. So it is called Visham. So too, ignorance disturbs the equilibrium. Vikalpa. It disturbs the equilibrium, the samasthiti. And arogya means sama, dosha samyam. Nothing can disturb there. So Arjuna was in Vishama, Krishna took him to Sama. And Bhagavata is also for that. From Vishama, you go to Sama. Ignorance is Vishama. World is Vishama. The world that we see before us is Vishama. There is total chaos, disturbance. We cannot do anything. And within us in the heart, if we go deep into the heart, there is Sama. There is an island within which cannot be touched by anything. It's an island. The heart center is the island. Tene Brahma Hrida. That Brahman is known by the heart, transmitted from the heart to the heart, and that Hrit is Sama. It is always Sama. It is never disturbed by any happening in the surface. That is why every day when we go to deep sleep, you cannot carry any vikalpa from the waking state there. Any disturbance from the deep sleep state there. The heart every day declares, here is an island which is completely safe, which is completely free of creation, which is completely free of destruction, which is completely free of all sorrows, grief. That is why in Shakta Sampradaya they say Mani Dvipa. The Divine Mother is located in the Mani Dvipa. It's a Dvipa, the island there. And actually it is the island, it is the real land of I. You inquire the I and you come to know that the real I is not me, it is Ishvara. So that is in the Hrit, and the moment the mind takes a merge there, it just gets Snatam tena samastha tirtha nivahai. It has the greatest bath. That the great tirtha snana happens. The mind becomes completely free of all the dross of ignorance. So, Anvayad idaratasya artheshu abhijnaha svarad. This Anvaya Vyatireka, all those details I am not going. That artheshu abhijnaha, in the heart of everything, everyone, there is an abhijna. The smallest name for Atma in Sanskritam is Nyaha. In Saptama Skanda, Prahalada uses that word, Nyaha. Mere knowingness, cognition, awareness, pure Jnapti. And that Jnapti remains changeless. So that is Artheshu Abhijnaha. In the heart, the knowingness, the luminous Chit. That awareness is available in the heart of all, and that is Swarad. Swarad means Swayam Rajadeti Swarad. Swayam Prakasha. It needs no light from outside. Neither the senses are needed, nor the mind is needed, nor anyone tell you that you exist. Even in a dark room, you feel that Swayam Prakasha Tattva. You sit in a dark room, you experience that Jyotisham apita Jyotihi. Tamasaf paramuchyate. The nature of darkness is that it removes everything. It covers everything. But darkness cannot cover the experience of consciousness within as I am, as aham, aham. So, that aham, the changeless thing, is swarat. See, every word we can take and meditate. That swayam prakasha, swayam jyoti, that swarat. Tene brahma hridaya adikavaye muhyanti yat surayaha. That consciousness has to be got from a Jivan Mukta Purusha. That is why we were seeking all great sages. Otherwise, just reading books will do. Only a well-lit lamp can give you that flame. Only from a lit lamp you can take the light. You cannot light your lamp from a photo or from a video. You need an Anubhuti Purusha, a Brahmanishta Purusha, from whom he can just breathe into you that experience. That is why people, so many from distant places came to Shivanandaji Maharaj, Chidanandaji Maharaj, and from many corners of the world people came to Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi. And Ramana Maharshi, he never even spoke, very rarely he spoke. But even that silence was enough. That was like a commentary. Paul Brenton said, the silence of the sage is more eloquent than his speech. He also spoke, but silence was enough. It gave commentary to every Upanishad, every spiritual text. You just sit in that presence, you know what it is. The experience comes to you. The Anubhuti comes to you. So that can happen only when there is a solid presence. Otherwise, now in mobile you carry all the Vedas. In mobile you have all the Shastras. Our Dikshidhar is sitting here. If I have some doubt, I will ask him. He has not even gone to school. But he knows how to handle all these things. He will just do like this and give me that mantra. Any Shastra, everything is uploaded there. But the Upanishads are there. So we have to say the greatest Jivan Mukta is the mobile. Because it knows all the Shastras. It knows all the Vedas. It is a Vedavit, Shastravit, Jnanam, everything is there. So this technology in a way is doing Anvaya Vyatireka. It is showing us that whatever you can learn can be learned by the computer. But what you can experience cannot be experienced by that machine. Whatever you can learn, it can tell Vedas also more perfectly than you, but Vyatireka tells you it does not have that Anubhuti which you have. The love which you have, the peace which you have. It cannot be had in a machine. So this is Anvaya. Anvaya is that you learn anything, it learns more perfectly than you. So that Anvaya fails there. And Vyatireka is what you experience, it will say, no, I cannot. It cannot do that. So when you use this, deduction and induction, what they call in English, I don't want to use those words. Like that, when you go to a guru, you know, teaching is very less. Formerly, I have heard from some Mahapurushas that formerly they used to take sannyas, only after that they will have Vedanta Shravana, and they will have Vedanta Shravana only of one Upanishad. Only one Upanishad. Because Granthan na abhyased bahun. In Bhagavata there is an instruction, do not study many books. Only that moksha granthas have to be learned, and that too from a Brahmanishta, only one Upanishad. And I am not an Acharya, I am not compelled to teach others, I am studying only for my own spiritual experience. Then if somebody asks, sometimes Kunjuswami, Ramana Maharshi's disciple, he wanted to learn Vedanta systematically. In Tamil Sampradaya, there is a Vedanta school in Kovilur Mutt. We have a Kovilur Mutt here. They have a Sampradaya. So he wanted to go there and learn. Then Maharshi said, Ipo Vedantam, Nalaki Siddhantam. Siddhanta means the Shaiva Siddhantam. Now you want to learn Vedanta. Tomorrow you will want to learn Siddhanta. When are you going to meditate? What did I learn? I just closed my eyes, went inside and found the truth. That is not easy for everybody, because when a guru is there to guide, it is possible. That is why he is saying. He is not telling everyone, you close your eyes, you will only sleep. But he is telling his devotee, his disciple who is with him. And then Maharshi Kunjuswami said, Ille Bhagavan, many come here, they ask some questions. If I don't know all this, they will think lightly about Bhagavan. For Guru's greatness, I am Oh, so you are going to give me glory. Then he said, he told Kunjaswami, if somebody asks you something, Vedanta, I will tell you a mantra. Then they won't ask. What is that mantra, Bhagavan? You tell them, I don't know. If you say you know, he will ask more and more and more. It will be unending. Sometimes they will not be satisfied. They will ask some. If you say, I don't know, there ends creation. Srishti is over. They will go away from you. Why are you bothered about convincing others that you are a learned person? It is not needed. Whatever they want to think, let them think. For your own spiritual experience, whatever you need to know, you will come to know. And it comes directly from the Guru to the disciple, from the heart to the heart. Even Krishna tells Kuchela in Bhagavata, our Guru has blessed us that you have all knowledge. That is why we found fulfillment in life. We have peace. Guroho anugrahenaiva puman purnaha prashantaye. By his anugraha, by his blessing, by his grace, we have found fulfillment in our heart. Who is telling this? Krishna himself is telling this to Sudama, his friend, about Sandipani. He gave us his blessing so that with all wealth I am peaceful, with all poverty you are also peaceful. See the contrast? No? With wealth also it is very difficult to be peaceful. And with poverty also it is difficult to be peaceful. But Krishna we say Ananda Rupa. And Kuchela also you should see. In Bhagavatam says, Krishnasya asit sakha kashit. Krishna had a sakha, a friend. Brahmana. He is a Brahmana. Brahmavittamaha. He was a perfect knower of Brahman. Viraktaha indriyartheshu. He was a virakta, dispassionate person. Prashantatma, always peaceful. In abject poverty, he was abundantly peaceful. Prashantatma, Jidendriyaha. So many adjectives were given to that poor Brahmin. That poor Brahmana had so many Visheshana. So, this jnanam can make you unconditionally free, unconditionally peaceful, unconditionally powerful, unconditionally established. Unconditionally light also, contented, santushta. So, tene brahma hridaya adikavaye. This knowledge of Brahman was transmitted from whom to whom? Everything has the source in Parameshwara, in Ishvara. Our parampara, Guru parampara, we say from where did this parampara come? The parampara came from Ishvara. Narayanam, Padmabhuvam, Vasishtham, Shaktim, Tatputra Parasharam cha. Like that. From Narayana it began and it will end in Narayana. From Sadashiva it began, it will end in Sadashiva. Everything is same only. So here, this Guru Parampara is Bhagavan transmitting Bhagavatam to Brahma. Is Brahmaji, the creator, to him this Satyam was transmitted. Kasmai yena vibhasito yam atulo jnana pradipah pura. Beautiful name. What is the name of Bhagavatam? We say Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam means that which belongs to Bhagavan. That which is divine. And what is the real name? Jnana pradipah pura. In the beginning of time, the primordial teacher transmitted this lamp of jnanam to Kaha. Kaha is the name of Brahma. Kaha actually is not a name. There was nobody to give him name. So, he was inquiring, sitting on that lotus, who am I, who am I, who am I? He was the first person who did that enquiry. Kayesha yosau aham abja prishtaha. Who am I who is sitting in this lotus? Who is this me, was inquiring. And then there was tremendous longing from within the heart. The Lord arose and stood before him and gave him a shake hand. That we will see, Chadushloki Bhagavatam. It we will see later on. And Lord gave him the knowledge of Brahmajnana was given to him. And when that knowledge was received, there is no receiver. The giver and receiver both disappeared. So here the disciple is asking, who gave and who received? When Shankaracharya came to Govinda Bhagavat Pada, Govinda Bhagavat Pada asked. It looks very dramatic because the moment Shankaracharya came, the story goes, he had the realization. Because he was Parameshwara, so that is possible for him. We can also say after Shravana Manana Nidhi Dhyasana Sakshatkara, Govinda Bhagavat Pada asked, who are you? Then Shankaracharya said, Na Shastram, Na Shasta, Na Shishyo, Na Shiksha, Na Chatvam, Na Chaham, Na Chayam Prapanchaha, Swarupavabodha, Vikalpa Asahishnu, Tadeko Vashishta Shiva Kevaloham. Neither teacher exists, nor the taught exists, nor the scripture exists, neither you, nor me, nor the world, only that pure Shivam, that awareness, that consciousness, that Satchidananda exists, and that is me. That is the only thing that exists. So this is the declaration of the one who attained it, received it from one of the greatest of the masters. So like that, here Brahma also says, the moment that realization comes, kasmayena vibhasitoyam, to whom this jnana pradipam came. And when he gave it to Narada, Narada also became his own self. So when the disciple gives the knowledge, Guru gives the knowledge to disciple, the Guru should not be like a teacher. I am a teacher, you are a student, receive it. The student should have the bhava that my Guru is God himself, Ishvara. But the Guru looks at the disciple as his own self. Only when such a teacher gives the knowledge, realization can happen. The Upanishad says, Ananya prokte gatiratra nasti. Even today in Bhagavatam reading, we came across in Brahmastuti, Ananya bodhyatmataya. Only when Ananya, the teacher should have no Anya bhava. He should not have the feeling that I am the Guru, you are a disciple. He considers the disciple as his own self. In that state, one look is enough to transmit it. One touch is enough. One word is enough. So with that state, he gives the knowledge. So Ananya Bhava, there, that is heart. In Indriya, in the sensory plane, differences will be there. In intellect, differences will be there. In the mind, differences will be there. But in the heart, there is no difference. In that center, one feels one with all, and in that state, this transmission, Rahastarpana. In Lalita Sahasranama, there is a beautiful name. How the Guru gives the knowledge to the disciple, it is Rahastarpana Tarpita. In the secret way, this knowledge finds its way from the Guru's heart to the disciple's heart. It just finds out, and both knows. The Guru knows that he has got it, and the disciple knows that he received it. No one else can see what happened between them. So, Tene Brahma Hrida Ya Adikavaye, to that primordial teacher, that Brahma, Bhagavan himself gave this knowledge. Sa Purvesham api Guruhu. In Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Patanjali says, he alone is the teacher. He was the teacher for all. For everyone he gives the knowledge, even from a Jivan Mukta. Through the Jivan Mukta, it is Parameshwara himself is giving this knowledge to all. So, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye. Muhyanti yat surayaha. Very intellectual people. They try to get this knowledge by the power of their intellect, willpower, reasoning, logic. Ultimately, they get exhausted, deluded. They get deluded, exhausted. Muhyanti yat suraya. This knowledge is so simple, somebody walks into the sannidhi of a Mahapurusha and comes out enlightened. Someone is studying, nahi rakshadi dukrinja karane. All your grammatical knowledge, all your polemics, everything fails because the ego, the individual sense comes and stands in between you and the master. When that is not there, one visit is enough. Muruganar, one of Ramana Maharshi's devotees, he had the highest realization in the presence of Maharshi. And one person, like a journalist, went to Swami and asked him, Swami, what sadhana you did? What sadhana you performed? He asked Muruganar. And Muruganar did not answer. He kept quiet. And he was a poet also, a bhavuka. So he became emotional. He didn't reply. Kept quiet. After a few minutes, he again asked, Swami, what sadhana you performed? He said, sadhanaya. Sadhana, what do you mean by sadhana? He asked. No, how did you meditate? And Swami said, my guru did not give me time even to close my eyes. Before I could just close my eyelids, the thing was over. That is, the truth is so easy. Prahlada says, because Prahlada in the womb, Garbhapatra, he got God realization. So he tells all the Asura boys, not very sadhana chatushtaya sampati, all Asura children, to them he says, Nahi achyutam prinayate bahu ayasaha. To please Achyuta, it is so simple because Atmatvat Sarva Bhutanam. He is our own Atma, he is our own self. Siddhatvadiha Sarvataha, he is ever attained. He is in our heart now. You have to just get a Narada and listen to him. Don't go to sleep like my mother. Then you will have realization, that's all. In Tamil, Kannudaya Vallarar says, the Shishya asks, how will we have God realization? And the Guru says, go to the Guru and he will tell you Tattvamasi, you will be enlightened. That easy? If you ask any more question, you will not attain 100 janmas. If you don't ask, you just have faith and go to the master, finished, over. One word, over. That much Shraddha Dhana. You should have the wealth of abundance of Shraddha in you, that Guru Bhakti in you, Guru Charanambuja Nirbhara Bhaktaha Samsarad Chirad Bhavamuktaha. You have that Nirbhara Bhakti, abundant Bhakti, one word. The whole Katha Parisamapyate. All episode is over. Samsara ends there. Finished. So that easy it is. So here says, otherwise you use this computer. Muhyanti yat surayaha. You get deluded. This is for working in the world. Oh, 1 + 1 2. We used to say very interesting side story. When Asura teachers gave Prahlada mathematics, they told 1 + 1 2. But Prahlada said, how can it be? 1 + 1 is 1. That is spiritual mathematics. You add anything, there is only one. No bahutva. Neha nanasti kinchana ekameva advitiyam. But ignorance tells you he is there, she is there, this is there, that is there, this event is there, that individual is there, this emotion happens. Something is happening. As long as something is happening, as long as sarga is there, bondage is there. Jita sargaha, that is the word in Gita, catchword. You have to transcend creation. And creation as waking state must be transcended. Creation as dream state must be transcended. Creation also as deep sleep state, limited happiness must be transcended. Yatra trisargo mrisha, trin swapnan dhunute munihi. Bhagavatam says the Muni just wipes, erases out all the three dreams. All the three states are wiped out like three dreams and is established in that luminous self, changeless effulgence of his own real nature. Yatra trisargo mrisha dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi. This very sentence, it's a samadhi bhasha. Because Vyasa, when he writes this verse, is established in that abode, and that effulgent abode. So he says, the abode which is self-effulgent, that Dhamma, that Vaikuntha Dhamma. Vaikuntha means where there is no Vikalpa, no other, no Dvaita Pratiti. Only Ananda is there. So Dhamna Svena. Svena Dhamna Sada Nirasta Kuhakam. Kuhakam means Dvaitam. Kuhakam means ignorance. Kuhakam means vikalpa. Kuhakam is ajnana. Kuhakas takshakova, says Parikshit. This takshaka will bite me, or some kuhaka will come. In some form, death will visit me. Ignorance is death. Identification with body is death. Considering the outer phenomena as real is death. So, sadanirasta kuhakam. When you go to the heart, when you merge in the real self, there is no darkness there. That sun never sets. That splendor never becomes dim. That is ever Ananda Swarupa, Chit Swarupa, Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. That Satyam, that supreme Satyam, that supreme truth, we meditate, I meditate. When we read alone, we can say, I am meditating on that truth. Shankaracharya says, as long as you have a mind, you have to use it for good purpose. So, what should you do? Satyanusandhana rato bhava. Constantly contemplate on Atma. If not possible, contemplate on God with form. If not possible, chant His name. If not possible, have contact with saints. If not possible, read some good books. So much down, down, down. In Panchadashi, Vidyaranya Swami comes down, 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 and then last he says, if you cannot do that, Krishim Krishaswa. You go and do some farming work, some agriculture, some work you do. Don't waste time. So, the first thing is, get established in your real nature. Dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam. That dhamma means the heart, the abode. That heart is ever free of ignorance, is ever free of difficulties. The moment the mind enters there, Hrida manisha manasa bikruptaha ya yenam viduhu amritaste bhavanti. When the mind enters the heart, it comes to recognize that the Vaikuntha is here, that Kailasa is here. It is here. Our Akhandananda Saraswati Maharaj was a great Bhagavata, Vidwan, Shrotriya, Brahmanishta. He has written a beautiful verse where he says, Vrindavan Vasi, he has written such a verse, Vaikuntha kena drishtaha. He asks, who have seen Vaikuntha? Vaikuntha kena drishtaha, Shravana pathagataha swapnavad bhati chitte. You have heard from Puranas, and when you try to imagine Vaikuntha, Shravana pathagataha swapnavad bhati chitte, tad vrittinam nirodhaha. When you come to some yoga teacher, he tells you, do vritti nirodha, chitta vritti nirodha, quieten your mind, let the mind cease to operate. Vrittinam nirodhaha, sahaja shayanavat tatrako va pramodaha. It is also not permanent, like deep sleep, it also comes and goes. Some span of time it is there, some duration of time it is there. Again you wake up. Tad vrittinam nirodha sahaja shayanavat tatra ko va pramodah. Prak pratyak bhava muktam. There is neither praga bhava, pradhvamsa bhava. There is neither pre-absence nor post-absence. There is always, it is present, always it is available. Prak pratyak bhava muktaha tadidam aham iti brahma purnam nachanyat. That purna brahma is ever available within you as aham, as I am, as the real implied essence of your own I. Purnanandopadesho dishi vidishi sada mangalam de dishitu. His Guru Maharaj was Udiya Baba, Purnananda Tirtha. So he has written those verses as a conversation with his master, as an offering to his Sadguru. So here, that Dhamma is within us. Dhamna svena sada nirastu. Wherever you are, you can go to that Dhamma. There is a Abhang of Tukaram. In his last days, he says, I have found Vaikuntha here. Vaikuntha, my Vaikuntha has come here. That means he has located the Vaikuntha in his own heart. Dhamamna svena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param dhimahi. I meditate on that supreme satyam, that supreme truth. Satyavratam, a mumukshu is a satyavrata. He has taken the resolve to attain satyam. Satyavratam, satyaparam, trisatyam, satyasya yonim, nihitam cha satye, satyasya satyam, rita satya netram, satyatmakam tvam sharanam prapannaha. You just have to listen to that shloka. The very shloka is so powerful. It contains only satyam, 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 satyam. So satyam param dhimahi. That satyam is Krishna. So to remind that, in Dashamaskanda this verse comes. In the beginning it is satyam. When the pillar breaks and Bhagavan Narasimha comes out with a roar, there also Shukacharya says, satyam vidhatum. To reveal the truth he came out. To reveal the truth he came out. So satyam param dhimahi, satyam vidhatum, satyam, satya param trisatyam, and last conclusion also satyam param dhimahi. So the entire Bhagavata tells you, live with satyam. You go on reading Bhagavata, contemplating on Bhagavata. Mirabai in one of her songs says, what will I do in solitude? Gita Bhagavat Vachungi. I will read Gita, I will read Bhagavat, and I will dance before my Giridhari and sing his Nama. So Gita Bhagavata. We have this fortune, Sakridepayena Ganga Jalalava Kanika Pita. Here we can do that. Ganga Jalalava Kanika Pita. Sakridabiyena Murari Samarcha. Kriyate tasya yamena na charcha. So here Parikshit also is getting ready for that. And our Bhagavata Yajna has begun with this Satyam Param Dhimahi. I think every word I have taken. Janmadhyasya yataha. I will call this 10 sutras. Janmadhyasya yataha. Anvayaditaratasya. Arteshu abhijnaha. Swarat. Tene brahmahrda. Ya adikavaye muhyanti yat surayah tejo varimridam yatha vinimayah yatra trisargo mrisha dhamna svena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param dhimahi. These 10 sutras, they are like 10 sutras. Every sutra you can take and meditate. Every sutra, through every sutra, you can slowly guide your mind to meditation and then to samadhi. Samadhi means that knowledge of oneness, that knowledge which ultimately tells you that everything has arisen from him, everything remains in him, everything goes back to him, and he is Ananda Swarupa. This Ananda Jnanam is given to you. Bhagavatam is Ananda Samudram. That is another name for Bhagavatam. Etad Ananda Samudra Sambhritam Jnanamritam. So Jnanamritam, these are all Bhagavata synonyms for Bhagavatam. So here we begin the Bhagavata discourse. We don't know to what distance we will go in this way, but I have told Swamiji, I am not going to hurry. Let it go to any distance, there we will stop. And after our function also I am here. So at least in our night satsang we will continue and finish it. So that is our plan here. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Sarvatra Govindanama Sankirtanam Janaki Kanta Smaranam. Hara Hara Namah Parvati Pataye. Hara Hara Mahadev. We will again meet in the night satsang 8 to 9. And tomorrow, as Swamiji has announced, the satsang is, the morning Veda Parayana is from 8 to 9:30 and Bhagavata Parayana is from 9:30 to 11. So that both we can listen. Yato mamatma bhavasi tvameva tato na vachyam mama kinchidasti yathataveshtam kurumam tathaiva tvam atmanatham ramanam bhaja.
Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Sri Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Sri Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Sri Krishna.